So continuing here with my story of December 31st, 1999 on the western coast of India near the Arabian Sea with two Israelis I'd met at a rainbow gathering. So this is the next morning after waking up after camping in this little gazebo-like structure that we'd found alongside the trail. The following day was New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1999, a day of reckoning for the civilized world. We were fine with being right where we were, a long ways from anything resembling technology or civilization, just in case things did in fact go haywire, as many doomsdayers were predicting. We woke mid-morning, stretched a bit, and then hung out in the gazebo in our sleeping bags for a while, bullshitting and munching on dates and fruit for breakfast. Eventually we got up to start the day. We had things to accomplish. Not only did we want to investigate the ruins, but we needed to find a suitable campsite for that evening where we could build a campfire and have a proper millennial celebration. I mean, it's not as if we would be around for the next one, 1,000 years later. We packed up our things, then hid our weighty backpacks in some of the greenery off the trail so that we could hike around unencumbered. Then we continued on up the trail. After a mile or so, the narrow path ended at the bottom of some wide concrete steps that descended up a steep hill. We continued up the steep steps, huffing and puffing, glad that we hadn't brought along our backpacks. Eventually the steps ended, where a path continued towards the sheer cliff. At the base of the cliff was a small, simple Hindu temple, completely dwarfed by the towering hulk of rock. More than just ruins, it was a fully intact structure, though not particularly notable compared to so many other grand buildings we had all seen in India, both modern and ancient. What was much more impressive than the temple itself was the view from there down into the vast valley below. We could see the entire length of the steep stone steps we just climbed, trailing all the way down to the valley floor. A little creek ran along through the trees far below beside the path we'd walked. And the dense, green, vibrant jungle spread in all directions as far as we could see, and much further than that. It was heartening to see such abundant, flourishing greenery in India, since so often the natural world there is besieged by human activity, choked by pollution and garbage. After some brief exploration of the temple, we ate lunch on some benches in front of the temple, looking out over the incredible view of the lush jungle. The endless hills and greenery before us was in stark, mesmerizing contrast to the arid coast where we'd been just a day earlier. At that point, we were content that we'd taken the chance and made the trek out there to witness the turning of the millennium. This would undoubtedly be a place and an experience to remember for the rest of our lives, and the peace and stillness of the jungle was such a welcome contrast to the frenzied beach party we'd left behind. After lunch and some more random exploring, we decided we'd better get serious about finding our campsite for the night. We hiked from the temple ruins back down the long stretch of stone steps, the three of us pondering aloud where in the jungle we might find a satisfactory place to sleep for the night that wouldn't turn out to be an anthill or a tiger's den. At the bottom of the stone steps, where the trail led back into the jungle, we noticed a strange configuration of massive boulders piled nearby. We'd walked right by it on our way up the steps without paying any attention. We wandered over to check them out, just out of curiosity. To our surprise, we discovered a partially hidden, roomy cave amidst the rocks, open on two sides, created by one huge boulder balanced on top of the others. We realized that it was the perfect place to make camp for the night. There was a good 7 or 8 feet of headroom between the ground and the boulder balanced overhead, with a large, flat, open area, plenty of room to both make a fire and spread out our belongings. There was also plenty of ventilation for smoke from the fire to escape, and yet we would still be protected in case it rained. And these immense rocks definitely wouldn't be moving around in the middle of the night, provided Y2K didn't result in any major earthquakes, that is. With our mission accomplished, we hiked back down the trail to retrieve our packs from the bushes so we could set up camp. As evening neared, we got the campfire going in the center of our rock enclosure and started preparing dinner. Vegetable stew and more chapatis. We each pulled up a flat rock to sit on as we cut up vegetables and flattened out the chapati dough. In the middle of our dinner preparations, as the daylight was waning, we opened up the bottle of wine and started passing it around. The fire continued crackling away pleasantly, reflecting comforting light off of our cave walls. The wine warmed our bellies. Crickets and who knew what else made shrill noises from the depths of the jungle. And, thanks to the Israeli chefs, the simmering stew emanated inviting, spicy smells worthy of any decent Indian restaurant. Darkness descended and our dinner was almost ready. We were perhaps 2/3 of the way through the bottle of wine, wholly relaxed, slightly giddy, and looking forward to our homemade meal, the last one of the year, the decade, the century, the millennium. Right about then, we suddenly heard strange voices in the nearby blackness, speaking unintelligibly, apparently in the local language.